The imminent dilemma of most digital transformations is whether to change the technology for the business or to change your internal processes to fit the technology. If you have opted for an off-the-shelf solutions like CRM, HCM, ERP, or sometimes even e-commerce with the likes of Microsoft, Oracle, Salesforce, SAP, then inevitably you will face this decision at some point in your digital transformation. So how do you make this decision of whether to invest in the technology customization or try to change your ways of working and internal processes? And I think the real question is of how much to change the technology and how much to change your internal processes. And this is exactly what I wanted to talk about today and share an approach that will help you to make a decision for your digital transformation. Welcome, everyone. My name is Irina Ashdown. I'm a digital transformation consultant and the founder of Amplify.dx. We provide independent and technology agnostic advice, helping our clients to achieve measurable business impact and meaningful business change through successful digital transformations. The first thing to note, if you have chosen an off-the-shelf CRM, ERP, HCM solution, is although these technology have been designed to support quite a wide range of use cases and are considered to be the best of breed in the industry, it is still by default generic solution. If you were hoping to use pre-configured workflow with vanilla functionality with just some configuration work, it will unlikely give your business a competitive advantage. Because if you think about it, if everyone was to follow that, then all businesses will work in the same way. That's why if you were hoping to adopt a no customization policy, then be aware that it will unlikely be a viable option for the digital transformation. And saying that, I am by no means advocating to excessively customize the technology as well, because that can spiral out of control quite easily too. What I'm suggesting is to do some groundwork to understand the level of customization required for your specific program and the level of business change required, and then try to plan for this in your digital transformation. And to help you do that, it's important to understand three interconnected aspects of change. Try to think of it as an equation with three variables. The first part of the equation is your business case. This involves rationalizing the reason why you're doing the transformation. When I ask my clients what triggered the digital transformation, the common answers I get is that the business needs to streamline business processes, or they want to standardize business processes, they want to improve efficiencies and eliminate waste, or they want to improve customer journeys, usually all triggered by the fact that for quite some time, organization didn't invest into the infrastructure, and now the business have reached the point where there's a cluster technology that's really preventing the growth or costing too much or negatively impacting the customer journeys, or quite often all these three reasons combined. But stating just these objectives on its own is not a valid business case. For example, when we're saying we want to streamline business processes, what we're really saying is that we want the business process to be cheaper and faster, or one or the other. So to make a solid business case and to really understand the reason for why you're doing the digital transformation for, it's really important to define low-level business-specific metrics for the business processes. We take an example of streamlining lead-to-cash business process. The example metrics could be that maybe we want our quote generation process time to be reduced from, let's say, 5 days to 1 day, or we want the contract cycle to be reduced from 2 weeks to 4 days. So it's really important to break it down to this low level so that you're really clear of what you're trying to achieve from the process change and from the technology as well. Because quite often when you're deep in the weeds working with your system integrator and really trying to make all these trade-off decisions, I often see that the end goal is not always clear, which then makes the decision-making quite difficult. Somehow this aspect often gets assumed and not really documented anywhere, but it really is a crucial piece of information for the business to understand the end benefit that you're going to get from the technology and from the process change as well. So the first part of the equation is the solid business case with the low level of success metrics. And the second part of the equation involves understanding the total implementation cost for the business benefit that you have identified in your business case. So essentially what you do is you map system capabilities and business processes against the business benefits and those success metrics that you have identified in your business case. If certain customization gives your business a competitive advantage by making a service a lot faster or sets your customer journey apart from your competition, then by all means, this is definitely the case where it's worth exploring the customization, or if customization is not an option, then to explore some add-on options or alternative solutions. And it's really good practice to make sure that you convert everything into monetary value. So for example, if certain feature is going to save a lot of manual effort, you can calculate how much money it will save you, which with a little bit of due diligence is easy enough to do, because if you take the volume of work that's usually handled by your employees, and then you convert the volume into the number of hours, and then you work out how much you pay per hour to your employees, and you can easily calculate the benefit from implementing a certain customization, which will help you to automate certain tasks versus the same tasks to be done manually by the employees. Which is why I was saying that having a solid business case is really important, because it makes the whole decision-making of whether to do customization or not a lot easier. The one thing to note that with customization is it's important to include the future maintenance for this customization as well, because if you're introducing a custom code for the off-the-shelf solution, you'll definitely need to adjust that code when there is a system upgrade or routine patches, and make sure that there is some sort of regression testing have been done to make sure that your system is up and running. It is also quite easy to spiral out of control with customization, so be aware of that, because the way that the current solutions are designed, it's very easy to customize them. And sometimes I see organizations customizing too much. But again, if you have your solid business case with the success metrics, then it becomes a lot easier to make the decisions for customizations, because you can easily do the cost-benefit analysis and understand whether the customization worth the price or not. Making decisions based on the implementation cost and the business case would have been easy if there were not a third variable, which is also very crucial for the whole equation. And the third variable in the mix is change management effort. Sometimes you might come across the case where there is a pre-configured workflow that will deliver the business benefit from the business case, but because the new process is so vastly different from the existing process, it will then result in high resistance to change and subsequently to high change management cost. So it's really important to understand the whole concept of where you may save on the implementation cost, but you will still incur cost later in the change management. So that's why it's really important to understand the whole equation with all three variables, where you have your business case, which is the end benefit, you have your implementation cost, and then you have change management cost as well. So if you find yourself in a situation where you do anticipate high resistance to change for a certain process, then again, this could be the case for the customization. And to help you make the decision of whether to invest into customizing the technology and then saving on change management, or whether to save on the implementation cost, but then invest more in the change management, is again, if you try translating this into the monetary value, will help you to make the decision. Calculating the change management cost would involve the expenses you would pay to your contractors and partners to help you run the change management activities. Plus, you need to account for the time taken away from your employees later on that will help to nurture the change and foster the change. When you make these calculations for two options, one with the system customization and one with the change management, the decision will become more obvious. It's worth noting that not a lot of consultancies really go down to that level, because it's typically considered to be outside of their scope, which then essentially leaves the project sponsors and the project team that makes the decision about the customization versus changing the processes to make these decisions based on the uncertainty. If you are currently in the midst of implementation, where you're trying to make a decision of whether to invest in the system customization or try to change your internal processes and your internal ways of working, or most importantly, how much to change the technology versus how much to change the business process, and would like an independent opinion, please feel free to reach out to me directly, because this is exactly the type of work we do and specialize in. Will quantify different options and really help you to make more informed decision. I'll leave my contact details in the episode description. To summarize, when facing a dilemma of whether to change the technology to fit the business or whether to invest into changing your internal processes to fit the technology, it's important to understand an equation with three aspects of change, which is your business case, which clearly explains the benefit of why you're doing the transformation, for the implementation cost, which includes the cost for the implementation and the future maintenance as well, and the effort for the change management. It is likely when you're sold a digital transformation program, your technology vendors will promise the case where you will get a lot of benefit with out-of-the-box functionality, good adoption rate, and minimum change management effort required. But be aware that more realistic scenario is that you'll either need to invest more into customizing the technology to make sure it meets the business needs, or you might need to invest more in the change management to make sure that solution is fully adopted and then you're getting the business benefit that you set out to get. And again, making sure that all the three parts of the equation are translated into monetary value, where you know the value of delivering benefit and you know how much the customization will cost you, and you understand the change management effort that it involves and also translate it into monetary value, then the whole decision of whether to change in your process or change in the technology becomes a lot more evident. I hope you found this useful and the approach gave you a little bit more clarity for your digital transformation if you're facing a similar dilemma. Thank you so much for listening and enjoy the rest of your day.